Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to look at ultimate add-ons for Elementor. If you're a fan of Elementor but you've been struggling to find some of those elements that you need, like cool headings, tables, some before and after images, cool things like that, maybe some business hours you want to put in your footer, all sorts of things that Elementor or Elementor Pro don't have, this plugin has the stuff. Ready to go? Let's jump right in. Okay, in this video we're going to look at ultimate add-ons for Elementor. That's a tongue twister, ultimate add-ons for Elementor. Okay, I think I got that. Alright, so this is a plugin coming from the team that does Astra. They have some really cool plugins for all sorts of extensions for Beaver Builder, Elementor, Visual Composer. They have the add-ons for the Astra theme itself. If you want to see a review of the Astra theme, I will try to remember to put a link down below the video. I've reviewed that before on my website, not by video yet, but I will be doing that as well. But today we're going to look at ultimate add-ons for Elementor, and I want to quickly show you guys in an overview what you get with the ultimate add-ons. There is a tiny bit of overlap with Elementor Pro and Elementor, but it's 90% stuff that you may really need, and you have to decide if you need to buy this add-on. And it's on sale right now because it's not long been released, which is why I got hold of it to have a look at it. And these are the widgets that you get. There's a list down here on the side, and hopefully if I'm editing this video well, I'll be zooming in on this section for you. You get an info box, which is kind of like the info box in Elementor or Elementor Pro, I can't remember which has a picture, a heading and text, but in this case you have a lot more control. You have the ability to put icons or images and a bunch of other stuff, so a little bit of overlap with Elementor there. You have a content toggle switch, which is great if you have monthly versus yearly pricing, so great for SaaS companies, people who have online applications or other memberships and things like that. Or maybe it's just a switch that you have a label on and you want to show completely different content below depending on what the person switches between. So you could have a before and after, you could have information on location A and location B, and you can just switch this toggle and it displays and hides basically WordPress content. So you can put any WordPress content in there you like and switch it on and off using this toggle. So it's kind of like a variation of the usual collapsing accordion that most visual builders have, but this is something new. They also have a modal pop-up, which is basically a pop-up from different kind of elements, different kinds of price lists, which Elementor Pro has, but these seem to be a little bit more powerful. It has some stuff for WooCommerce, so if you're running an e-commerce store, there's some interesting stuff in here. They have some styling for some of the standard forms from Gravity and Contact Form 7 if you're using those, because they can often be hard to make look good. If you're injecting them into your WordPress page, you have to go into the CSS to style them, which is typically what I do for my clients, but a lot of people won't want to or know how to do that, and this gives you access to those. Gives you a new version of the map, which is quite cool, with pins and multiple buttons stacked together and some other heading types. So that's a quick overview of what you get. In case that's of interest or not of interest to you, you can keep watching because I'm going to dive deeper into them right now. So the first one I'm going to show you is the image gallery here. It just gives you a better idea of what's possible. You can do masonry. I'll show you a version I have in a second, but this is a bit better constructed. I didn't have any good images at hand and I didn't want to bother to find them, so this is what it looks like if you have masonry. You can have all kinds of filters and all, stuff like that. So it's a really cool image gallery there. Of course, Elementor has stuff like that already, but it's a bit different to this. So this is in addition to what Elementor or Elementor Pro can offer you. If you're not buying Pro, this may be an alternative for you. So that's something to keep in mind. Is it Elementor Pro or Ultimate add-ons that you need? Because you may not need a lot of the stuff in Elementor Pro either. So the Google Maps, I'm going to show you here, because to set it up you need to have an API key, and Google's just changed that recently, and they're making you pay if you use it too much. So if you have a site that uses thousands and thousands and thousands of views of a map per month, you may end up paying a few dollars for that to Google, which is kind of fair enough because the map system is pretty cool. But most people won't ever have to pay anything, but you have to go and set it up, which is a little bit of work, so I didn't want to do it for this demonstration. So I'm just going to show you the kinds of things you can do. You can add all the skins, which is quite typical of map plugins, so you don't have to use the standard Google Map look. You can put in all the different styles for the pins and the kind of icons you're having, the colors. So you can quite nicely customize the maps to look like your website, which I like to do for clients as well. If they have a location map, I typically like to put a skin on it that's more in line with the colors of their website because it looks better. So that is worth doing. So that's what the map looks like. So now I'm going to jump into Elementor itself to show you a bit more messily, if that's a word, I think it is, what some of this stuff looks like, but also to give you an idea of the options you have available, because there's tons and tons and tons of options. These guys have really constructed this really well. It looks exactly like Elementor. It's part of Elementor. It's just an extension of Elementor that isn't coming from the Elementor team. So this is a standard Elementor heading where you have, font size and all this kind of stuff, links, colors, padding and all of that. And Elementor also has an animated heading where you can do lines and text coming in and out, which this one has one too, you can see here below. But these guys have come up with a whole bunch of different kind of headings. You can put underlines, icons, different alignments on there. You can completely go in and change whether you want a dashed line, a dotted line, the color of the line. I can change it to red if I want. Let's just do that now and change that to a solid color. So you can see I can completely change everything. I can change the icon size, whether it's positioned on the left of the line or the right of the line. So if you want this heading left aligned, you might want to left align the icon as well, or have no icon, or have no line, or just one or the other. All of this stuff you can do, all of the padding, what happens on hover if you want it to go somewhere, borders, outlines, everything. So they've really given really detailed control to this element, and with every element they have help information and videos to help you get started if you're struggling with that stuff, because there can be a lot of options here, so that's really handy. They have another dual heading one where you can pick different fonts, colors, styles of all the text, and you can do a before and after. So I have a before of I love and an after of test, and then I have the styled content in the middle here, which I've done in a different font, different color, and you can also do a different size. So using all those combinations of before, after, text, font, colors, and alignment, you can basically create a two-step heading as much as you want. I think you can even put borders around it. The spacing between the heading you can change here, the typography, all of that kind of stuff, what happens when it's highlighted. I thought you could do boxes around it as well. Maybe that's the other one. So with a combination of all these different kind of headings and this animated heading here, which you can use, which is quite typical of the hero section, the top section of home pages, people often put these animated things. I don't necessarily like them. I think they're distracting for people who come to your website. But if you are someone who likes them, I'm not judging you. You can use this stuff. It's really cool. So they have all these kind of excellent heading additions to what's available in Elementor, which is quite basic, unless you get Pro, of course. So then you have the standard Elementor element, which I talked about before, where you have a picture, a heading, and a text. But these guys give you another one here called the info box, which also gives you the option of an icon, and you can also switch everything around and put it to the right and the left. I'm not sure if the Elementor one is as configurable. I don't think so. Basically, it's pretty straightforward and set in its ways. You can change the alignment, but that's about it. So this one has an insane number of options, like all of these things do in Ultimate Addons. You can pretty much customize everything, which is crazy. They must have spent a lot of time programming this. This is impressive, getting all the CSS set up for all of this stuff. So that's the info box, really, really cool. Obviously this one's quite wide, but if you put them into columns and put them below your main heading on your home page, you could do something like this, which is quite typical, and I always seem to have trouble dropping stuff into columns. So let's duplicate that and swing that across. So then you could have your different boxes for your different services, or the different features of your products or whatever it may be, with different icons or pictures and alignments and all that kind of stuff. So that's pretty cool. So basically we're extending Elementor here, just keep that in mind. And this is the toggle, content toggle. So you can see I've just got 2 or 3 lines of content in WordPress below these headings, and you've just got a switch in the middle. Looks quite basic. I haven't styled it really. It's using the standard, so it doesn't look very sexy. But you can style absolutely everything here. I need a haircut, so I'm wearing a hat today. Thumbs up if you also need a haircut and your girlfriend's hassling you to go and get a haircut. I should be there now instead of making this video. So this toggle is really powerful. What I'm showing you is really simple, but you could put anything in this section below here and toggle it depending. So if you have areas where you want to show or hide things depending on specific kinds of A or B options, then this is a nice option. And this is a really cool one. I didn't know these guys had done until I was playing around with this, and this was really bugging me on a website I'm using that's running Elementor, was to get a nice table. Elementor guys, we need tables. The Thrive guys, which is another tool I use on another website I have, they've got that sorted, but Elementor has just not done this. And I even looked in the Elementor requests from people using Elementor, and everybody's saying create a table, and they still haven't created a table. So who knows when that's going to happen. They seem to have other priorities. Fair enough, it's their tool. But it's a pretty basic thing, having a table. If you agree with that, also give it a thumbs up. So this one's really cool. So basically, if you go into this table, you can customize the header row, the content, you can make it sortable, searchable. So here you can edit all the different parts about the row. You can add icons. You can add spacing, colouring, background, all of that kind of stuff. I haven't dived into all of it. I haven't had time. I've been busy working on client sites this week and I haven't done any videos for a while. Apologies for that. But yeah, I thought I'd jump in and do this. So you can make this searchable, sortable, really cool. So, and responsive, which I haven't tested yet, but if this works, that's also impressive, because when you have tables and you go to a phone, it doesn't work. You need them to stack vertically and still display the interesting information. So it's nice to know that they're taking care of that. So quickly moving on, I know this video is getting long. We have the multiple buttons. This is not only good for various reasons, because normally you need to get a bunch of columns, stick your buttons in the columns, because otherwise you need to use CSS floats, which if you're not a developer, you probably don't know what I'm talking about. But if you want to do proper button alignment like this, it's really hard to do in Elementor properly without using columns. And even when you do use columns, it's going to have to be columns within columns to get this look and feel. You'd have to have a 50% column and then 4 columns in there, and it's a pain in the ass. So I saw these buttons and I just went, yes, this is awesome. But on top of that, when I dived further into it, you can also customize them all as individual elements, like you do with the tabs and the accordions in and lists in Elementor. So you can fully customize, make them round, hover, all of that kind of stuff. You can jump in and fully do here as you would any element. So if you want a row of multicolored buttons with different colors for every button, different shapes, different icons, this element does it for you, or widget as they call it. Another cool one they have is business hours. You can do, again, everything. You can color the weeks and the weekends, the times, all differently, different fonts. You can put these striped bars in, or you can remove them. You can put dotted lines in between the elements. There's tons of options for this one. I'm not going to go into them all, but again, impressive. The next one I love, because a client of mine was looking for this, and we ended up using Revolution Slider, which she had anyway, and it was an extension for Revolution Slider, but it's a huge plugin which I wouldn't recommend anybody using unless you have to. This is a before and after effect. Really simple. Basically, if you have a reason to show a before and an after, whether you're a photographer or my client is a surgeon and wants to show eye surgeries, so how people look before and after the surgery, preferably quite a while after the surgery, because you want the person to look good, of course, after recovery. So it's really helpful, because what you can do, and I'll show you in the demonstration here, is you have this really cool sliding element, and you can move across and show how parts of whatever it is before and after, whether it's a kitchen renovation or whatever, look. So you can specifically kind of slide across with this slider. And it even has the labels in here, the before and after labels, which is obviously really handy. You could even name them something else, 2 different colors, compare 2 different paint jobs on something. The options are endless, and the effect is really simple, but it's hard to find a really good plugin for this, because we looked, for my client, we really looked, and it was really hard. We tried 2 or 3 different ones. So again, thumbs up to the team for creating this, because this is a simple thing, but impressively designed and easy to use. Of course, if you're going to do this, make sure your pictures are the same sizes and resolutions, because otherwise the effect might not match up. So I just turn this picture black and white, and it's the same picture, so it overlaps perfectly, which is what you want. The next one is a kind of a pop-up effect. If you're trying to get people to opt into your email list, for example, and you have a button on your page saying download my whatever on this button, text, image, whatever, and you click on it, then it has the pop-up, and you can get them to opt into your email list. That's one choice. Thrive Leads does that, and Opt-in Monster does that, and it's really cool. And it's called a 2-step opt-in, and it converts a lot better than a normal opt-in. But what this plugin also does with this kind of button, image, icon, click option, so we can turn this into a button. How do I do that again? Let me have a quick look. I've got to edit the right thing here. So at the moment I've got it as an icon. Let me see if I can remember how to change this. It's somewhere in here. Oh my god. Anyway, you can change whether it's a button or an icon. Let's change it back to a button. Alright, so you have this button here. So I'm just going to save that. Hopefully that appears, because my machine is really slow today. I've got too much stuff running as usual, even though I have a big machine here. I'm just going to regenerate this page so you can see the elements are a little bit more good looking. And here's the button. So if we click on it, we get this pop-up. And you can put all kinds of things in this pop-up. You can style the background, the heading, the close button, which I've made huge here just for demonstration purposes. You can put that up in the top right, although I wouldn't recommend it because it's annoying and people can't find it. You can put videos in there, you can put images in there. It doesn't have to be an opt-in. It can be click something to open a picture of something to show something. So the opportunities you have there are completely endless. You can have a picture of your video on your homepage, and when you click it, it opens the video in a pop-up, which is a really good use of this kind of thing. Again, I was looking for something simple to do this for a client of mine, and now this does it. So you can open videos or image galleries or opt-ins or PDFs or whatever you want. Really, really cool. So it looks like it's just a button, but you can make it be a picture or text or whatever inserted anywhere on the page and have people see something as a result of clicking something. So really, really cool. This is the image gallery I was talking about. You can change number of elements per row, whether it's in a grid, so an exact layout, or masonry, which is where things stack depending on their size, because you can see some of these pictures are different sizes, so they move up to fit kind of like bricks would in a wall if the bricks were not uniform. There's a whole bunch of other options in here. What happens when you click on the elements, whether it does anything in particular, the size of the images, the layout, how you add the elements, the spacing between rows. What else do we have in here? Opacity, so you can change the opacity up or down. So again, lots and lots of options, not as many as some of the elements, but enough. Here we have the map. I'm not going to go into that too much, but you can change all of the overlay settings, the button settings, the zoom, the location, all of the things you would expect for a Google map, but you just need to connect it to Google Maps and sign up with Google Maps. So it's an extra step, but that's not their fault, that's Google. And that just came out in May or June, I think. That's a new requirement, 2018, if you're watching this video in the future. That's something you need to do. So we have here also pricing tables, but it's done in an element by element basis. So I've used 3 columns from Elementor to do this. Again, this is quite similar to what's available in Elementor Pro. If I look on Elementor Pro as comparison, I think we have here somewhere pricing tables and price lists. So here you can see these elements in Elementor. So that's the price list, which I'll show you in a second. And we also have, I don't know whether they allow me to go to the pricing table. I don't think they're showing the pricing table, but it's quite similar, but it's more preset into 3 boxes. Whereas what I like about the Ultimate Add-ons is that it's 1 by 1, and then you can change the size to make one more dominant if you want. You can add these little ribbons or new buttons. They have all of these as, again, options where you can completely customize everything about this, the button, the ribbon, the pricing, what kind of currency you're using, etc, etc, etc. So fully customizable, really cool. And you've also got the menu option elements. And there are a bunch of other ones which I haven't gone into here, such as some for WooCommerce. Let's just have a quick look at those. But you can come to this page via the link below the video and have a look at this. They've got videos on all of the elements. You can make your categories look really, really sexy. Yeah. Add to cart, contact 7 styling, that's quite new. So you can make your opt-ins or your contact forms look really, really nice. Yeah, this is impressive. And how much is this at the moment with the sale? Let me have a quick look. So it's about the same as Elementor Pro. It's $49 per year. So at the moment, it's $49 and should be $69. So I recommend you take advantage of this right now. Click the link below the video. I get a small commission, which is my thank you for spending 4 hours investigating, setting this up, whatever you want to say. But I really honestly think this is a good product. Otherwise, I wouldn't bother reviewing it. I don't review, I've got an itchy nose. I don't review stuff that's crap because I can't be bothered. I don't have time to create videos, let alone create videos of things that are not worth checking out. So if you liked any of these options and you're missing these, whether it's tables or sexy headings or pop-ups or all that kind of stuff, I recommend you take a look at this. It's really worth it. And thanks to the guys who created this, great job. And I look forward to more stuff that they'll be creating in the future, which if we go back, you'll see they're also coming up with an Instagram display and a bunch of other things actually. Timeline, call to action, so they keep on extending it. So if you keep up your subscription, you'll keep getting more and more elements. Definitely worthwhile. I'll also put a link to Elementor Pro below if you want to check that out in comparison. That's also worth checking out. And if you haven't subscribed to the video, press the button below. I'll be doing more Elementor stuff, more Astra stuff, more Ocean WP stuff. I'm not doing so much SEO stuff lately unless you guys want to see that. You have a specific SEO problem. I do both WordPress and SEO for clients, so I can help you out with that too. Anyway, you'll see me in the next video.